And up next here, we got Austin Bashi. He's taking on Christian Rodriguez. And I feel like we've seen Christian Rodriguez in the same fight like 20 times now at this point. But, obviously another undefeated wrestler grappler coming in here, taking on Christian Rodriguez, seeing if they could pass that test. We saw Raul Rosas Jr. come in there and he couldn't get the job done. We saw Isaac Dolgarian, same thing. That was a more controversial fight there in that one. Even Cameron Simone, even though he's not necessarily known as a wrestler like those other guys, he still is undefeated prospect. Christian Rodriguez gave him his first loss, but Christian Rodriguez is coming off a pretty bad result over Julian Erosa, where he was looking good in that one, but ended up getting guillotined in the first round. So it's kind of ironic. Like, he went in there against all these good grapplers, and I'm not saying Julian Rosa isn't a good grappler. He has a lot of submission wins himself, but known more as a brawler, and that's a guy that Rodriguez gets submitted by. But he needs to bounce back from that fight, show that he really is someone that could be a viable fighter at 145. Obviously, he did a lot of his work at 135. And for Austin Bashi, it's big time confidence from the UFC to put him in this matchup for his first fight. I mean, they're basically saying if you can win this one, you're going to be close to the top 15 right away. And 13-0, 23 years old. I mean, obviously he has a lot of seasoning before he's gotten to the UFC, so should be ready. I mean, he has just as many fights as Christian Rodriguez does, even though a lot of them aren't UFC competition or UFC level fights. But he just won on the Contender Series against a short notice opponent who he kind of dominated and then eventually submitted, even though there was some back and forth there. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that this fight is pretty easy to break down. Austin Bashi is one of these guys that has a really bladed long stance. He likes to be heavy on that back leg so he could explode in with big punches. He has a decent head kick, but really he's looking to time that takedown, and he's just a very good wrestler. He's relentless. He has good top control, good back takes, and as up to now, he's been able to kind of just take guys down, run them through the ringer a little bit, get them tired, and then submit them. And his pace, his cardio is really good. He is a big guy, which I think all those things are going to play into his advantage, where Christian Rodriguez previously was the bigger fighter who had the conditioning advantage. I think that Bashi is more than likely not going to get tired, and he's going to be just as big, if not a little bit bigger, heavier than Christian Rodriguez is. But we've never really seen Austin Bashi truly in like a super high-paced fight where there was a ton of scrambling, where he gets put on his back, where he gets kind of beat up on the feet a little bit. So there's still questions with him, and Christian Rodriguez is going to bring that out of him. I mean, Rodriguez on the feet, he has good ability to control distance, use his hands, has pretty fluid boxing, and he could probably dominate the stand-up with Bashi if he gets the timing. And I think that he doesn't have the same power or explosiveness that Bashi does, but he's fluid and can keep the pace, kind of beat up Bashi if he can get the rhythm going. And obviously he is good. His takedown defense is decent. It's not the greatest. I mean, he gets taken out a lot, but he could flow on the ground. He has great scrambles and gets guys tired, gets back up to his feet, and then eventually he could defend slower, sloppier takedowns and take over the fight, and that's what he's been able to do against these guys. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a great test for Austin Bashi in his first fight. I'm going to roll with Bashi here, the undefeated guy. I'm going to say that his size and a little bit better top control and conditioning, maybe a little bit more dangerous on the feet than someone like Delgarian, more experience than someone like Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be able to get him this win here over Christian Rodriguez. But man, I mean, Rodriguez has been the spoiler so many times, so if he comes in here and does it again, I don't think anyone's going to be that surprised. But Austin Bashi, for me, is going to get the win in this one. I'll say that he has to go all 3 rounds this time, but he gets the win by decision.